Ether ETFs being approved. Is that what's going on here?
I certainly think that's a bit of what's going on here. I mean, we saw Bitcoin ETFs become a buy the rumor and buy the event situation. And so I'm not surprised that we're seeing Ethereum catch a similar bid here heading into the potential approval of spot Ethereum ETFs in May. So yeah, that's definitely driving some interest from institutional investors. We're seeing a lot of interest in the options and futures market for Ether ahead of that potential approval date. So I certainly think that's contributing to the outperformance from Ethereum relative to Bitcoin this year and recently.
Do you think that stress in commercial real estate will ultimately be the source of the next credit event?
You know, first of all, put commercial in perspective with consumer. The consumer markets are far bigger. So what happened in 07 or 08, this isn't that kind of thing. And a lot of these owners of this can handle what you call stress. So in the banking system, I'm just going to focus this in office for a second because there's warehouse, there's data centers, there's hospitals, there's and some of that stuff is actually well done. But if you take just offices, first of all, they're worth less because of interest rates. When interest rates go up 300 basis points, whatever you own with their cash flow is worth 30% less. And so people, that's not a crisis, that's kind of a known thing. And then there's the, if you have a recession, yes, it'll get worse. If we don't have a recession, I think most people will be able to muddle through this, refinance, put more equity in. And of course, when you talk about defaults being higher, part of that's just a normalization process. They were so low for so long, so in all of credit, you're watching this, things go up, but they're not at a crisis level, they're just kind of going to normal. So yes, if rates go up and we have a recession, there will be real estate problems. And some banks will have a much bigger real estate problem than others.
So you think, as you kind of assess the landscape and regional banks, there'll be more of a whack-a-mole than a kind of domino effect?
As long as the economy stays like this, there'll be more of a whack-a-mole. There should be no domino effect. The problems you've seen were kind of idiosyncratic problems with Silicon Valley, First Republic, New York Community Bank, and a lot of these, it's very local. I mean, when you talk about real estate, I think when you say blanketed, if I call it an office and I have great leases in it, it's fully leased out, 20-year leases, that's completely different than a spec building. So you really got to dig deeper, and we try to do that when we look at credit about where it is. It'll be pockets.
Are you concerned at all about just the migration of lending taking place in the non-bank financial sector? I mean, we're here at the Global High Yield and Leverage Finance Conference. I know there are a lot of private credit managers here, but that's something that's caught the regulators' attention as well.
Well, finally, maybe wake them up a little bit. First of all, I don't mind competition. Some of these people who we call private credit are excellent. They know what they're doing. That doesn't mean they all do. And when you look at policy issues about private credit, first of all, we've been doing it a long time. Just keep in mind, like, we make loans, middle market loans. They came through with a bunch of stuff that made it simpler. Unitranche, actually more expensive. Unitranche, different covenants. You could sign it quickly, no pricing. But there are other things, less transparency, less liquidity, no secondary markets, no research. So you got to look at the whole thing, what works and what doesn't work. It will sort through it. We'll be a competitor. I have no problem knowing that we're going to be a competitor. And a lot of smart people out there, they've been on TV saying, I said they're dancing in the street, but they agree with me this time. They say, absolutely, the banks are being pushed out of a whole bunch of different businesses. And I always say, if that's what the regulators want, then do it. I'm completely fine with it. Jake will do fine, but it should be done with the forethought, not accidentally. Like I said, there are some negatives. So I think if you have a major recession, you'll probably see some issues in private credit. Whether it's systemic, not, I don't really think so, but it might be in ways we don't understand today.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And now we have the media pushing the potential of approval of Ethereum spot ETF. And that's the reason why it's moving up. But guys, we know Ethereum has an important upgrade. And Ethereum is going to push up Bitcoin. Bitcoin, of course, are going to push up the altcoins. It's like clockwork. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And now we have Jamie Dimon on CNBC. Says as long as the economy stays this way, we'll be fine. Guys, we know for a fact the economy is nothing but an illusion. And there's going to be a lot of pain coming forward. But we know why. The fourth industrial revolution. We're in a fragmented world. This whole legacy market has to be destroyed in order for the fourth industrial revolution to rise. Whether robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. Guys, we know the goal. These small and medium-sized banks will not survive. That means that these small businesses are going to close, laying off a whole lot more people. We see the big corporations laying off constantly. Remember, they're just doing a little at a time. But if you look at the name of this conference, Global High Yield and Leverage Finance Conference, guys, what does that sound like? That's right, DeFi. And we know DeFi is definitely the new banking. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have the El Salvador president give a speech, which is probably the most important speech, but unfortunately it came from the NWO. Guys, he gave a John F. Kennedy speech, and you're not going to get it from the mainstream media. The same thing with Dr. Ben Carson. Politicians no longer serve the people, and they're not even pretending. And we know that is a fact. The Hegelian dialectic, though, works every time. Divide and conquer works every time. And the El Salvador president speaks about the dark forces. People getting complacent. Worry about things that don't matter. And talking about the decline in society that we see right in front of our face. But again, the sheep are distracted. And we know the NWO is about to pull down that curtain and bring the sheep to reality. Remember, guys, they don't teach finances in school because this plan would have never worked. And remember, my people perish from the lack of knowledge. Not because it's not there, because they reject it. And we know the Most High is going to reject the children. And we see that today. And we know the crypto teacher gives you the truth, nothing but the truth. Yes, the truth hurts, but it sets you free. But when I give you the truth, you hate me. But guess what? I'm just a watchman on the wall. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Must not only win an election, he must have the vision, the will, and the courage to do whatever it takes. And above all, he must be able to identify the underlying forces that will conspire against him. These dark forces are already taking over your country. Just like the frog, people become complacent and they don't realize how bad things are getting until it's too late. Some might say I'm exaggerating, but we can clearly see the signs of a declining society.
I really want to discuss an entirely new threat to our country. The reality is that the government in Washington, D.C. no longer represents the people it claims to serve. And it has stopped even pretending to execute the charge laid out by our founders, the protection of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Do kids, frankly, do adults, how literate are we when it comes to financial stuff?
Well, we definitely have some challenges, but at CE we have some good news. This year, our 2024 survey of the states says that 35 states now require students to take a class in personal finance to graduate from high school. That's up 12 states from just 2 years ago, which is terrific. And 3 more states now require economics. We're up to 28.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books, It's Time to Re-Educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, The fourth industrial revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.